Timothy Wenger here from The Man Effect. Really excited today to bring you guys a friend of mine named Fernando. And how do you say your last name before I try to slaughter it?
Yeah, it's, in French it's Desouches. If you pronounce it in Spanish, it's Desouches, but it's Desouches.
Desouches.
Fernando Desouches. Yeah,
Desouches.
Pronounce it as you want. I am not French, not Argentinian. I'm somewhere in the middle. So whatever you want to make of it is good.
Well, I met Fernando here, what was it, 2 weeks ago? I was connected to you through a gentleman named Kenny, who I previously interviewed. And I was really excited to connect with Fernando because he has a vast experience in a unique way with working with men and specifically marketing towards them. And you've had a background working with the corporation that owned Axe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And you help them rebrand and retarget towards men. And my understanding is that you were able to do research in order to help lead you up to that. And so I was just excited to meet with you because as you know, I'm I love data and just like getting in people's minds. And so it was fun to connect, and you asked some great questions. And so I thought it would be fun just to bring you on, let you talk, let me poke at you, through your brain, and all of that. So what I was hoping is if you could kind of just give people a general outline of who you are, where you're at, and what you're doing, just to kind of paint them a little picture of who you are.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for the introduction. So my name is Fernando Desouches. I am originally I'm Argentinian. I currently live in London, in the UK. I've been living here for 10 years. I moved with my wife 10 years ago, also Argentinian. And then we have 2 kids here. One is almost 8 years old, and the other almost 3, which makes things much more easier than a couple of years ago. I moved here because, as you said, I was working in Unilever. Unilever is one of the big FMCG companies, so fast-moving consumer goods companies. Mm-hmm. At the moment, I was working in the Axe brand, Lynx here in the UK, for Argentina. Mm-hmm. And I've been invited to work for the Axe brand for Europe. What I did for almost 3 years was very, very much fun. After that, I work also from the female side of brands. I work for Dove and Dove Men as well.
Oh, really?
For 3 years as a European director, yeah. And finally, my last job at Unilever was to, as you said, work on the repositioning of the Axe brand as a global director there, which was super interesting, very, very good in terms of learning, but also very much transformative for my own life. And I can go into detail later. And after that, and leaving Unilever last year, I took some time off doing some other stuff. By today, I'm currently the managing director at an agency called New Macho, which is a part of BBD Perfect Storm. And what we created the agency is to help brands that are targeting men to grow through a new male narrative. So change the way brands address men to help them to take men forward, to empower them while growing the brand. So, and this is something that we can talk about. That is one of the things I learned doing my work at the Axe brand.
Yeah. All right. That's a great picture and a great starting point. Generally, since my project is based on the foundation of one question, I think we should start off there and then move on. And so if you were to describe what it means to be a man in one word, what would it be and why?
Yeah, it's you asked me the other day that word, that question, sorry.
Yeah.
It's super interesting. Because for me, being a man is about being connected with yourself.
Mm.
It's about your inner connection.
Mm.
What immediately comes to me is an emotional connection, how understanding how I feel, what I really want in terms of the desire, how make things makes me feel. Because I think only there, understanding myself as an individual and how I really feel as a man, I can understand how I connect with the world around me.
Mm-hmm.
So this is for me the ultimate definition of a man, but also of a woman. That is people that is connected with themselves, and from there, and take responsibility for who we are, taking the world forward or connecting with the world around.
So it sounds like kind of the initial word you would choose is either like connected. Would it be connected or connection?
Connected.
Yeah.
Because connection goes outwards, and for me, it's the second stage.
Yeah.
First, you should be connected with yourself, to be your own judger, and then from there, connect to the world around, because when you are connected to yourself, and you understand how things makes you feel, it's more likely that you understand how you make other people feel. You have empathy.
Yeah, it develops your empathy for sure.
Yeah, and this is, I think, where men and women are going. So many times I think about it, and I work with a guy called Professor Dr. Gelfer, about where he wrote many books about masculinity, and we talk about quite often. Actually, we are working together in depicting the future of men. And we both agree that men, and even women and men, the best man is a man that is going to come. It's not yet. We shouldn't look in the past to look where we were better men to project that to the future. We think that this growing in self connection and connection with the world around, that is going to make us a better man. And the other key word from connected that is very, very linked but sounds very, very different is freedom. It's free, because when you are connected to yourself and you are not putting the power outside you, you are understanding how you feel, and you are not doing things just to make other people feel something because you think you need to do it in the terms of performing, is when you ultimately become free.
Yeah.
So I think after connection is freedom. And this is what we are foreseeing. More men and women free. We are, from my point of view, women are doing a better job at the moment. But we need to help each other to go there, because it's a better place for everybody. And I'm doing that, or trying to help men to pass through that journey by helping brands to validate that and creating that space of aspiration and holding the space for men to want to be there in that space of a connected and free man.
Interesting. And do you think, it seems like what you're saying is also very close to being a present man, like as a man who's here in the now. Would you disagree with that?
No, not at all. No.
Yeah.
No, because only you can understand how you feel in a moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
but if you're caught up in the past or the future, you're not connected to the moment right now. Sorry, I was just kind of like, it's just something that's really been on my mind a lot too. That's really, that's good stuff. So, do you mind if we just jump in here to some more questions? That was
totally.
I mean, man, that triggered me in a couple different ways. Trigger in a bad way. Like, I'm not like trigger warning.
Sure.
No. When you were talking initially about what you've done and what you're doing right now, I was intrigued to know, do you think Or how do you think you've impacted masculinity on a global scale since you've been able to be a part of these large brands?
Yeah. It's a good question. So just to tell a little bit of the story. So I work in the Axe brand almost 9 years. Only 5, almost 6 of them were under a construction of the brand or a campaign, or it's called campaign idea of a brand. That was the Axe effect of the Lynx. That this was very successful, but on one side was, without trying to do so, repressing men. The idea was to liberate men. But honestly, we were saying that the guy wouldn't be as attractive before and as after using the fragrance. So the fragrance would make him more attractive, irresistible. And when we were working there, we realized, but as you said, but the big research we have done in 10 countries, talking to 3,500 guys, that men were really struggling and performing who they weren't. And that adding a lot of pressure. So we said we cannot add more pressure to men. And actually, what we are setting as the idea of the Axe effect doesn't work anymore through different things because of the empowering in women. We used to use sex as provocation. Now sex was a commodity. Guys were telling us that a relationship wasn't about conquering as many women as you can, but more a connection game. And we found that men were more progressive than the initial conservative guy we thought. And this is 2013, no? This is 2013. By doing so, this idea of that men were performing also hit me. So I saw myself saying, okay, I am part of the journey. I am man. I feel like that. I feel like part of the work I like, but there is a lot of performing that I have to portray myself in a certain way to fit in the expectations, but maybe not related to what was my desire, what I really want. And we passed through the journey. I put a lot of pressure in the company to put the man in the center of the story, that we need to really work on helping men to blow down barriers and stereotypes. And we ended up in a new campaign idea for the brand that is Find Your Magic, that is telling, okay, you are already attractive, being yourself. We can enhance your attractiveness with products. I said, how we affect it? So we launched this initial film when we repositioned the brand at the Super Bowl 2016, the 50th Super Bowl. We were in a room, like myself, people from the US team on the phone, people from different agencies, YouTube, Google people. Because we said, okay, we need to be prepared, because at the moment we put the film, we can start having backlash from people in Twitter, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, whatever, just telling us that we've been showing tits for 30 years and now we want to be progressive. But the first surprise we have is that nothing like that happened. So it generated the film a lot of positive communication feedback. It was like in the way we measure was 90% positive feedback. Many times women were leading the conversation saying, alas, you have done this. When we have like every 20 guys saying something good about the film, that it was viewed by more than 10 million guys in 5 days. Every 10, 20 guys saying something positive, one said something negative, and it was the same guys telling off that person saying, why you are so regressive. So this is the first thing I think I learned, and also that could answer your question on how we change culture, in the sense of, first was by understanding that when you want to do something that is giving a positive message to the world, you need to relax, because if it's authentic, the result and the feedback will be positive. Then we knew that we need to walk the talk, so it wasn't just that. So I push a lot, and this is some documents I wrote in the very beginning when we started this, before we launched the film, that we need to help men to relax.
Interesting.
Instead of stop performing. And we started working with Promundo at the moment, organization like here in the UK, Ditch the Label, and the representation project in the US, the guys that shoot the documentary, The Mask You Live In. And then in the future, just after I left, there was a piece of work launched by the brand called It Is Okay for Guys, showing a video that shows how guys go online to check things that they don't want to talk in public, like if they can wear pink, if it's okay to cry or whatever. And that went to the front page of the New York Times at the moment. So it was really moving culture. I've been myself in many discussions, present in brand conferences where they were showing the Axe case. And they didn't know that I was there. They didn't know about myself. It was the first, was a big successful story for a brand transformation for a non very much purposeful brand. And then you have other brands following the path. So Harris, the shaving brand, followed a little bit of what we started. Many brands are now doing so, and that was our plan always. We said we will not sort that out. It's not what we call brand discriminator. It's not that Axe will sell more because it's putting under the spotlight the main crisis. Axe will sell more if you show that the products make you feel more attractive. And if you feel more attractive by using the brand. But it was key for us to be one of the initial brands that put the issue of the masculine crisis over the table. And this is what I want to do now with more brands, because it's the depiction of where men are going, and this is why you are doing what you are doing, I guess, well, it's not clear. I have, I think, a little bit every day more clarity on that, but it's something in the making. But why it's important, why I think what I'm doing, what brands are doing, what media is doing, what you are doing, what entertainment should be doing, politics and education. Because until we don't reach the place where men feel comfortable and free, the suffering is too big. And not just for men, because as men still hold the power, by having men that is suffering, we make the world around them suffers. And this is why I started with the word connection. Because this is where I think we need to hit. We need to help men to connect with themselves. Otherwise, from a place of disconnection, they can hurt themselves and the world around them.
Yeah. That's really interesting.
And that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, and disconnected men are scared, they're insecure, and
but still very powerful. Maybe they don't know about that, because it's not that they are mad, angry, just they don't even know they are like that. They portray one part of themselves that seems to be very secure, in control and emotionless, and other parts that they are not showing, that is a big hole. And that big hole in general is covered through an addiction. That would be the common suspects of drugs, alcohol, but many other things that are socially accepted addictions, like over work, over sports, people doing like first half marathon, then a marathon, 2 Ironman, 3 Ironman, like sex addicts, porn addicts, violence. So it's a big thing. Opioids.
So I'm going to ask you a little bit more of a personal question next. What were some of the bigger milestones, let's just say, in your own journey as a man? Like that kind of, let's say it was like it was a point when you kind of upgraded to the next level for yourself, or does that make sense?
I'm not sure if I understand the question, but I'm going to start with the things that pop up to my mind. That the things that they were more than myself. What are the things that I think get me to the journey I am in now. And so part of it, I think I was born in a nice family. The first thing is my mother used to be a therapist, my father an accountant, but even though they have their issues, they always help me to be emotionally connected from the very beginning. They pay attention on how I feel. So, of course, I have pressure at the moment of perform and be the best. But then something happened that started confronting me to death quite, I'm not sure super early, but quite early in my life. So my father got cancer when I was 22 or 21 and passed away when I was 23.
Oh, man.
So, yeah, and so when we said that men also, you talk to many people that has certain level of wisdom and ask them why you think that the West is not doing so great now, and many of them will tell you because you don't have a masculine initiation, you don't initiate your men, you don't confront them to death, basically. Well, I was confronted to death there. Then there was something that it was a strong milestone for me, that is, I used to, in my road to perform, date one girl, very nice girl, for almost 8 years or a little bit more. I was about to marry her, but something weren't right, and it was the perfect person from the world around me, and also I thought it was for myself, but I knew all the time that something was honestly disconnected.
Interesting.
Today I see more clearly that also I was myself disconnected, so I couldn't see that.
Yeah.
It was the perfect person to be around, hanging around, but it was totally connected by my desire. So after we tried to get married, for some reason, as we could, we split. And when we split, I was like almost 2.5, 3 years by myself. I was 31 at the moment. I was dating many girls, but I couldn't. Every girl I was dating, I thought it's going to happen the same. I'm going to be trapped by that. Part of psychological term, Oedipus. But then I met one girl that wouldn't tick any of the boxes that I would have at the moment of the men and of the women I want to be with. But I was randomly with her, but all the time was going back to her because I felt comfortable there. I felt a good space. There was a moment that she was okay with that. Then she told me, look, I need more. I couldn't give more. So we split, and during 3 months, we weren't together. And during those 3 months, incredibly, I dated the most beautiful girls I dated in my life. It was like a course of God. It was incredible. But I was not complete. So I said, okay, if the box I need to tick is dating someone that looks like a model, why I'm not feeling complete? Eventually, to make the story short, so I end up going back to that girl. When I saw that girl, I never doubted ever again. We're talking about 11, 12 years ago, and now it's my wife, the mother of my kids. And why this is so important? And it's so important because it was the first moment I saw that I could change from perform to be myself, connect with my desire, and surrender to that, and the benefit that has. And this is so important because it's what I wanted to do with my job, and this is why I left Unilever. I'm gonna say something extra before leaving Unilever because it's chronological. This while I was doing the process of Lynx, the change in acts, and also having my middle age crisis, I'm thinking, okay, what I'm gonna do in my life is selling deodorant, so I'm gonna do something else.
Yeah.
My mother also got sick and passed away very fast. in
Oh my
6 months,
gosh.
2015, end of 2014 to 2015, and I was doing the act stuff.
Yeah, that's right in the middle of your whole thing. Oh
Yeah,
man.
so that was like something I'm still working on. So morning takes time, but also it's something that pushed me to be myself. So literally to be myself. I have only one younger brother, not much family, so it's only my family and his family, and in-laws. But when you don't have anybody above, okay, you are on yourself, and this is also like a way you are pushed to connect with yourself. You can take it and embrace that, or you can all the time, I guess, complaining and be a victim of the situation you pass through. But I decided to do this the first, even though it's difficult. And sometimes I said, why me? What happened? I said, yeah. But when I embrace it, I think it's a part of the journey. And then was the change in the acts, leaving Unilever. So Unilever I worked there for 18 years. I met my wife from there. I have friends from there. So it was a third parent. So leaving Unilever was leaving my third parent.
Yeah, seriously.
It's that. But also, that put me in a place that, or push is also the right thing, that, okay, now I don't have to perform to anybody. It's not that I have to be the best for my father or my mother or Unilever. So now it's about me. And taking responsibility of the decisions I make and responsibility for the family I have. But also the relationship we have with my wife, she makes very clear that the responsibility is a mix. It's ours, not just mine. So as good as she is. And this is, I think, so the circumstances could push me to be close in a victimhood area and paralyzed, or push me in, okay, it's time to connect with yourself because it's the only thing you have, and start building front there.
Yeah.
Something I think I did very good because I was advised to by a coach was to have always good endings, and I have a good ending. So it's not that I have something that is an unfinished business that I will need to look back and say why I did what I have done. I can go, and actually I go many times to Unilever for meetings, and I have still friends there, and so on. So I think this is a stage. So then it was, okay, so what moves me? So it's very difficult to say, okay, fine, you don't have anybody to perform, so you are who you are, but who you are. And this is what I think I'm still unveiling, what could be purpose or meaning for me. And this is what recurrent in my life was the idea of helping the people that needs to be helped. And here I think men need to be helped. My background is I am an economist, so I always look for and I like economics.
1 second there. You're cutting out.
Sure.
You're cutting out. Are you back now? Are you back?
Are you here?
Yeah.
Yep.
I could just hear a lapse there.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So I can actually hear myself now. I wonder what's going on. You cut out there right when you were talking about economists. That's where you cut out.
Okay. So can you listen well now? Okay. So no, I was saying that I was originally an economist, and I'm really interested in the social part of the world and people. And if I said one bullet to sort out the world now, I think I will spend it in fixing men, because what I think is that, as I said, men hold the power, and many things that they are doing because they are afraid to change, and they are afraid to do a breakthrough internal change, and really stop performing and being themselves, and do that journey that is difficult. If we can hold the space and help that, and get men more into the free space where they can really feel comfortable, they will affect the world around, including women, kids, and environment. And this is what I was having in mind when I left Unilever, and I took some time off because I needed to separate and detox from the marketing. It was difficult for me to understand if marketing was something that it was Unilever, or marketing was something I was interested in. So I did some coaching. I did a coaching certification and coach people. I work in leadership development, but a conscious leadership development, with a guy called Nick Jankel, that is an author. It's very good. And also I started going to men's groups, and working, also helping men's groups. But it wasn't for me the moment to develop in any of these areas. So I found the need to do it again, not with one person as coaching, not 10 in groups, but to get to millions with messages that brands can do. Maybe not in the same depth, but yet very powerful. And this is why I opened the door back to marketing. But I still love coaching men's group, and I think in myself in the future, when I gather more experience helping more brands to transform, I will do some more in depth with people that can have more footprint in that change.
I always believe too, like there's a bunch of like a seed gets watered many times, before it like really starts growing. So it's like, even if on a commercial level, you're just kind of starting the growth process for someone to start considering masculinity on a different level, like I'm all for that. And I use like The Art of Manliness is a great example for me of a very foundational tool for men to learn basic skills of being a man, but it doesn't really teach you like what you're talking about, the connectedness, the emotional intelligence to be empathetic and to communicate and all of that. And so it's like there's another level after that. And so it's just like respecting the process.
Totally, what you're saying totally resonates. So something I think is worth mentioning. So I invested, I'm still investing a lot in self-awareness. So I have a benefit, that is, I was born in Argentina, which on one side is amazing. You have, the thing is, there you can go to a therapist, and you have more therapists than engineers, which is very good. And it's true. You have more therapists. This is where Argentina is going as it's going. But so going to a therapist there is just a tool for self-development. It's not something that you go there if you have mental health issues. So that going and doing that allowed me to learn about myself and unveil stuff, and don't get trapped in common places. And the other thing I invested is in coaching, and then in men's groups, which I love going to men's group. It's a whole new thing for me, where you can get a lot of insights from my work, but also get energy, masculine energy. That is something that it was a surprise for me. I wasn't expecting that. I went there for the first time like 8 months ago, or a couple of times, and it was that intangible thing of being with other men, meeting at a deeper level, and getting back some energy that's not just about what you are talking about. It's something that is not easy to explain, but bless you, come on. But it's something that really gave me a lot of energy and strength. And this is what I think, if we can get more men connected, this will be the intangible thing that we will all benefit. We will all benefit of this collective connection that will generate that energy that is regenerative. It's really powerful.
Yeah, I remember the first time I was in a room with maybe 1,000 or 2,000 men. There was no women, and I was just like, I could not believe the amount of energy there was in the air. I don't really know even how to quantify it. It was maybe electric, maybe exciting, but it was very notable to me that it was very different than a mixed crowd. And then when I too dove deeper into the men's group world and stuff like that, it's just a very empowering realization that I had of just, yeah, I'm a man. Like, yeah, I don't know. I have no other way to.
I think it's connecting with your virility. It's the libido, it's the energy of a man, which is well canalized. It's very powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. So anyone who's watching, if you haven't been a part of a men's group, some of them are extremely awkward. Some of them are amazing. So like, you just got to embrace it. I've been to some amazing ones where I would have the worst week, and I would look forward to the 5 minutes I had with a small group of men. And then there's others that I would just cringe going to. And that's just my personal experience. But how many different types of groups have you gone to? Have you had positive and negative experiences?
No, I didn't have many negatives. I think the worst. So it's interesting. Maybe the very first one I went. So in general, it's positive. The negative will be I don't feel anything and I don't connect. But
yeah,
there was once that I don't know how to describe it, but it was one of the guys. As I don't say, his name is quiet. I can tell about that. That honestly, he was passing through a strong transformation. He realized that he has a woman inside, so he will become trans, and it was the first steps towards there. And I felt totally the struggle he was having, because of course his family didn't know, very traditional family, and I left almost with a feeling of sickness, because this energy is so powerful that could go to different ways. And in that sense, honestly, I left and I didn't know if the guy wouldn't make it to the weekend, because he was really suffering, and he was at the beginning of a very steep road. And I felt it. And this would be, I don't know if it's I cannot describe the experience as bad. I can describe the experience as raw and powerful. And maybe a bless that we could talk about it, because he was in pain. Really, really emotional pain. So
some of the people that I personally respect a lot, or have a high respect for, are the men who've chosen to be extremely vulnerable in those settings. Like, and it's almost counterintuitive, because generally, culturally, I was taught that vulnerability equals weakness. But these men, I mean, maybe it wasn't vulnerable, but it was just like exposing their deepest struggle. And you might call it vulnerability, but I don't know if it's really exposing weakness. It's just exposing the battle that you're in. And I mean, some of these guys, some of the stuff they said, I was like, man, how the fuck am I complaining? Like, this is just he's in a whole different world, and I'm over here bitching about my little problems. Like, come on. So have you had experiences like that yourself?
Yeah. So first, I want to make a comment to the word vulnerable, because I think it's a matter of the word, of more than what it is. So because this is one of the things I've been talking to Dr. Gelfer. So if we change the word vulnerable for courage, so do you have the courage to talk your fears? Nobody will relate that to weakness.
Yeah.
and maybe the output is the same.
Yeah.
And when I saw this guy talking about his transformation, I saw pure courage and grabbing the issue and making him responsible of that problem.
Yeah.
I think it's not vulnerable. It's courage, the word.
Yeah. The other way I approach the word vulnerable too, because with a lot of men I've experienced, they have a disdain for that word. And there's also the whole other spectrum of, I'm not a woman, why are you trying to make me a woman, all that kind of stuff. And so I've tried to explain it that when I tell people that vulnerability is a way of building close relationships, I'm not saying you need to be the guy at the party who's like just expressing his depression and all his woes and stuff like that. Like well-placed vulnerability can create really good relationships. But if you're in McDonald's crying to some random stranger and telling them all your issues, like that's kind of what I feel like a lot of men think I mean when I say it's good to be vulnerable.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think it's a matter of the word. It's not the concept. You can use courage, you can use intimacy, and people will have different reactions. The thing is, this is why I'm saying that we are in a transition and we need to accelerate the transition, because people is suffering. Because there is a lot of, at this stage of masculinity, till we get to a freedom space, there's a lot of battle between a conservative way of being a man and a more progressive way to be a man. But in a could be negative, because it's conservative. It's like Democrats and Republicans. So they will fight saying you are wrong, and not advancing. Yeah. And this is why I don't place the word where the men are going in neither of those spaces. Because the liberal will tell, look, you can be the man you want to be, but certainly know in the way you conservative and saying is being a man. Yeah. Just by saying that, you will have a lot of people saying, you want to feminize masculinity, you want to, and this is more conservative. This is the way of it. So you need to go out from there saying, okay, the man is who you are. Yeah. Connecting with who you are in the world around you, and respectful for other type of men and ways to be a man. Honestly, because if you don't get there, you are patronizing, and you will get a backlash, because everybody can have their own authenticity and thinking of what is to be a man. The only way for me is that place should be a place of connection. This is why, again, I choose the word connection. It's not that I am portraying a persona of a free man, but honestly showing myself who I am, and respect to the others. That could be different.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm really interested by the fact that if you made a statement, you said if you had one bullet, you would tackle the problem of the world's perception of men, essentially, or masculinity in general, or the problem of masculinity. I think that's what you said. And I'm just, in saying that you would tackle that or fix that, it's implying that there's a large issue going on, right? And so I'm curious to know what those larger issues are that you see as well, because it kind of just transitions in my brain. I'm not sure if it really is connecting the dots, but I was like, man, that's an interesting statement. I would love to talk about that as well. So
yeah. For me, it's I don't know if it's right to use the masculinity as a word or men crisis. Like I cannot make my mind up there. But for me, it's that if you don't have men that are acting in a connected way, they are performing. So I tell you the story in the way I tell the story when I talk about the issue. So we've still been raised by many years through a certain definition of what it's been to be a man, that push us to disconnection. Because if we, when we are 6 and we start listening, that if we express our emotions or we connect with our feelings and express them, we are not being manly, that repression that we do initially in a conscious way, 6-7 years, and I don't need to do that because it's not manly. When you are old, a long teenager, and young adult, that repression is unconscious. So you start walking in life really don't understanding how your things really makes you feel, or how you express those feelings. You narrow that, and then from there, the most likely thing a man is that he will start following a path to success that is narrow and materialistic in the way we define it in the West.
Yeah.
So then we are 35, 40, and then we start saying, okay, what are we doing with our life? So when we said, okay, we reached to a place we expected to be, but we are tired, our testosterone is declining, so we feel it more, or we are parents. So why I'm doing? And then you start this emotionally dysfunction. So you really say, okay, I want to understand what I really want, and you cannot get it because you've been repressing that for so long, and requires to unveil and requires work.
Yeah.
Maybe with help from many places. But if you still have brands, entertainment, or media telling you that the aspirational of men is this emotionless guy, always in control, tough, rich, with money, it's very difficult to think that you are right and all of the rest are wrong.
Yeah.
So you continue. And when you continue, well, you can break down. Or you cannot live at your best, or you can damage the people around you.
Yeah.
So that is the crisis I refer to. Because from there, how you can improve the world? You have a lot of people with talent. You had young men that something that comes to my mind, that is one of the first things I saw that says, wow, I need to do something with that. So you know that in the UK, there's an organization called CAM, Campaign Against Living Miserable. That is an organization that helps people in suicide prevention. And I heard from them, okay, a statistic that every 2 hours, a guy committed suicide younger than 45 in the UK.
Oh my gosh.
It's terrible. But there's something that is bigger than that. There was a statistic that says 42% of men thought about committing suicide younger than 45.
42%.
So this is what drives me. If I can help in some way for these 42% of men that are just unhappy to feel empowered, well, you can change the world for good. And the way for helping them to feel empowered is by holding the space and saying, okay, that feeling that you have, that this, what you are doing is not you, okay, you're right. Yeah. And relax the world around. Help brands to portray aspirational for men that is more open. Not just the guy that demonstrates his emotion, even anger, whatever emotion. Different ways of living, different people that embrace more an expensive car, people that use cars to go from A to B, people that just spend the money in trips, or people that just spend money eating or whatever. So, or helping others. So open that and connect with meaning. And that is also something that we need to do in several places. Also, as I said before, from media, from entertainment, from NGOs, from politics, and certainly from education.
Yeah.
And this is, I think, what is the crisis? It's the crisis because we have a lot of men that depression is growing, anxiety is growing, opioids abuse is growing. So we see the symptoms. We talk about the symptoms, and we are not talking about the underlying subject that is the man and what is happening with this man. That when performing in life, and all of a sudden says, I cannot continue doing that because also the world is changing too fast. Yeah. So if in the past I was performing to be somebody for many years, I used to be the brand global director for a company. 20 years ago, maybe I could do that for 20 years. Fine. Now the world is changing so fast, so you cannot be in the same job for more than 3 years. Maybe the company disappeared. Maybe you struggle that the company could disappear, or maybe it's a new technology coming, or you need you need more money. So the world is changing so fast. So that formula of I can perform who I am not for longer get you to a distress faster than before. And breakdown, or whatever that we discussed before.
Yeah, I mean, all it takes is a fly to annoy a giant, you know, or it doesn't take much to start that fracture and break through some stuff. So I love that, and that's inspiring to me to keep pushing as well in my own manosphere.
Because it's huge. So imagine that women, and for the good things, with the feminine movement, started more than 100 years ago, and still the job is not done. Still there are things we need to fix in gender equality, violence, and many more. So the job that we need to do in men is massive, because we are just discussing about the issue. We are discussing, is this the crisis for men, the crisis for masculinity, if there is any real crisis, if we should talk about men, because honestly it's women that have the problem. So we are just at this stage. So this is a long journey. Maybe we can accelerate it, because everything now in the world moves fast. But if we don't do it, if we don't jump into fixing it, well, we will have more men breaking down. And also affecting, not just breaking down themselves, affecting their ecosystems. So I will end up in a common place. But if Trump is a representation of a disconnected man, well, you have one of the most powerful men in the world in a place that a disconnection causes problems to many people.
Absolutely. It's almost like there's a transition going on in society since we've had the information age for quite a while with the internet. It's almost like we're moving from the agricultural era into the medieval era was next or whatever. But in the sense for men in general, like there's this transition happening right now from what people will now call traditional masculinity, you know, the 1920s heterosexual male with 3 kids and a white picket fence, the American dream, to now it's this displaced man, and we're not sure what to do with him. And we know he has emotions, but we belittle his emotions. And so there's this really weird transition going on that I'm observing. And
I think it's not easy to depict, and we are working on. We should work, all of us, on depicting it. I think that something happened. So when you describe the guy from the 20s, that is something that we don't want to go back. But that guy was more viral in a sense, and could really drive change in the world, and many times positive. Then we went to a progressive man. But the initial way of progressive men was, okay, we need to embrace feminine traits in ourselves to become better men, which is totally true. But also we need to keep our virality on what makes us to be a man without being apologetic. And campaigns like Me Too and Time's Up challenge that. So what is virality? It's a good word. It's about war. Is it okay a man to be manly? And this is what I don't think we are in the end of the journey, and the end of the journey to be in the freedom part. It's not either the traditional guy, it's not either the progressive guy. It's something that we are people with the masculine part and the feminine part, but recognizing ourselves, our power of generation, transformation, creativity, connection, collaboration, that makes us men. And take ownership of that. Feel okay with that, and feel okay with other people that think different from that place as well.
It's not to belittle the past, but to learn from the past, and then also create and adjust for the future. And it's Anyway, I have a feeling we could dive deep down this hole for quite a while. But I'm gonna actually want to wrap this segment up here, and I want to do more with you in the future. But
Sure, sure.
what I'm curious about is if people, I'm not curious, man, I use that word a lot. How can people, if they want to get in touch with you or see some of your work, what are some ways that they can find you online or just kind of what you're up to?
Yeah, if you Google me, I am the most likely thing is that you get things that I have the chance to write and my LinkedIn profile. So
Uh-huh.
LinkedIn maybe is the easiest way.
Okay.
Uh, and the site of the agency is newmacho.co.uk.
Okay.
But I think from there or LinkedIn is the best way.
New matcha. Okay.
Newmacho.co.uk.
UK. I just want to say thank you so much. I've really enjoyed this. It literally felt like that was 10 minutes long, and I'm
Yeah, me too.
done, and it was like an hour, and I'm like, oh my goodness. Um, I'm just. It's fun to hear part of your journey and on a more macro scale of what you've had an influence on. I'd love to dive in the future more to what you learned from that study of 3,500 people and how that impacted you. And that'd be fun to dive into as well. But before we wrap up, is there anything else you'd like to share with the viewers?
No, I think there's something that is not right and wrong. So I think we are learning together again, and something I realized that this, as we started saying, we send a positive message to the world when we launch the repositioning of acts, and we get the positive thing back. I think this is what is happening now. So now we connect each other, connecting with other people, and we realize that we are more people that is working in this subject from different places. So that what makes me feeling very positive about the future. So it's just that. So the way I feel the future is positive. The thing is, if we don't continue acting with concrete stuff, well, we have people that is suffering in between, and we need to move on.
Yeah. Yeah. And for anyone watching and you have a desire to do something, you can reach out to me or just start pursuing your passion in this area. Projects don't start themselves. You gotta just do it. Get over your insecurities and fears and just pull the trigger and move forward. So Fernando, thank you so much for being on with me today. I look forward to what the future has for us. And if anyone wants to find out more about The Man Effect, just go to themaneffect.com. We're also on Facebook. And if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to subscribe. That would be great. Fernando, I hope you have a good day, and we will talk soon.
Talk soon, and really enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.